Hey guys, how's it going? Are you ready to get your bloom on? I know I am. Spring has sprung here, and even though we don't have a whole lot of foliage on the trees, there's so much happening already. I've been so busy in the gardens, and every time I go outside, I keep saying to myself, I have to film, I have to film, I have to film, so I can bring you along with me. And I have to be honest, sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. So I'm just gonna kind of give you a little update on the things that I've been doing in the gardens, bring you on a little tour, kind of tell you what I've been doing. We're actually doing some work here right now, so if you hear some construction going on in the background, that's what it is. We also got a new puppy. He is 22 weeks old, I believe, at this point. He's about 5 months. We got him at 12 weeks. It's been a lot of work. It's been a while since I've had a puppy, and he's so cute, but he's a lot of work. It took a little bit longer than I was expecting to potty train him. I think because we got him at 12 weeks, I was spending more time breaking old habits. And so it's been a little tough because I've been kind of trying to work in the beds, take care of him, and I'm kind of working in very small doses. But I have been able to get out quite a bit recently, and I wanted to give you a little update on my winter sowing seed starts and kind of give you a little synopsis of what's to come, because lots of cool things are happening in the gardens. So for starters, I don't typically plant a lot of pansies in the spring, and that's because in my growing zone 6B, they do really well if I plant them in the fall and they overwinter and bounce back in the spring. So I try to buy them more in the fall because you get more bang for your buck that way. But last year, the border that I usually plant them in, I had some summer annuals that were still doing really well, so I didn't pull them all. So my border in the welcome garden was a little sporadic, so I wanted to fill those in. And then of course, while I was at the nursery, I just kept on shopping. I had to buy more flowers. And so I did a lot more than I usually do this year, and I love it. Wait until you see the gardens, because not only does the welcome garden look really good, but I also planted up more of the potager, which I think you're gonna love. And just a little bit about the potager, especially if you're new here. The potager garden is a space where I have a bunch of raised garden beds. I have an outdoor dining table, and I grow my cut flower garden, vegetables, herbs. Really, it's just been a great space. When we moved here in 21, the former homeowners were using it more as a basketball court, so it actually had like a basketball hoop. I obviously saw the space much differently. Yada, yada, yada. My husband built these amazing beds, and here we are today growing cut flowers, vegetables, and herbs, and it's awesome. I love it. So the cutting garden is where I put all my seed starts and my dahlias. Dahlias I start from tubers. I have started them from seed before, and I would do it again, but I just buy the tubers. I like to buy the tubers. I have saved them too before, but it's a lot of work, so I tend to just buy new. I like to shop. I like to shop. Shopping is fun. So anyway, so I plant dahlia tubers in there, and I also start a lot of seeds outdoors using the winter sowing method, indoors under grow lights, and I also direct sow some as well after the last frost date. So anyway, so that's the cut flower garden. But this year, new, I started a bunch of vegetables from seed using the winter sowing method, and they do great. I've got arugula, I've got romaine lettuce. I started artichokes. I'm growing artichokes for the first time. Like, I'm so excited about that. I have some Swiss chard out there. I've got lots of good stuff. And so this year I decided to do more dense plantings in these two raised beds so that I could fit a lot more. And I actually was inspired by Gardenery. She does a lot of that in her videos, and I have another account that I know, Reshgala. She is another one who does a lot of dense plantings. And so I decided to give that a whirl this year with my vegetables instead of spacing them out so much. And I wanted to interplant them with a bunch of flowers as well. So when I was at the nursery recently, I bought the most beautiful plant combination. I can't even wait to show you. Ranunculus, stock, frizzle pansies. I love the frizzles with their little ruffle petals. And some Nemesia, Nemesia? I call it Nemesia. I might be saying it wrong. Let me know in the comments below. But anyway, I bought some of that, and so I did some plantings there, and it looks really beautiful. I can't even wait to show you. And I also have been spending some time amending the soil there. Every season, beds in that garden area deplete, and I need to give back to the soil, so I amend it with compost, and I like to add Coast of Maine raised bed soil. It's a really great blend, and I've noticed my plants do so much better with it, so I add that every year. In the fall, I actually did all of the cut flower garden beds, and this spring I just did the vegetables. So the vegetable beds, I have 2 vegetable beds. So so I did that, and I've been potting up some pansies and stock around the gardens, and I was toying with the idea, and I was just toying with this, I was toying with the idea of creating another new raised bed, which when I say I was gonna create another new raised bed, I mean my husband was gonna create another new raised bed for the potager garden, and I was gonna relocate our dining area somewhere else. My daughter Shanna was like, no. I did a poll on Instagram, everybody said no, keep your table out there, so we're keeping the table out there. The truth of the matter is, we really don't have another space for dining right now. I was considering putting one in the backyard in the Zen garden, but we really would have to create a special spot for it. And to be honest, I just don't feel like doing that this year. So we're not. And I'm just gonna keep things as they are. And this is why I decided to go with some more dense plantings in the raised beds where I'm growing my vegetables. So I did mix those flowers in that I bought at the nursery in with some of them, and it just looks so pretty. So I really want to bring you guys out there, kind of show you some of the stuff that's been going on, show you how pretty everything looks. We still don't have foliage on the trees yet, so we're still really in early spring, but there are some blooms already. We've got hellebores, we've got lots of daffodils. If you've been following me for a while, you know I've got thousands here, and it's just so beautiful right now. And then I've got pansies and ranunculus and so much more. So why don't we take a walk through the welcome garden, and I'll bring you down through the potager and kind of show you what's blooming in my garden today.
So it's a little cloudy, we've had some rain, but look at how pretty the gardens are coming along. So I've got a bunch of daffodils planted in here. I actually did not plant these, the former homeowner did. There's a whole lot of vinca in here. It's really beautiful right now while it's blooming. It does help prevent weeds from coming up. I have to say it's really good for that. I don't love it though, and eventually I do want to redo this bed, but for now, I like the look, and I really like the vinca with the yellow daffodils, don't you? They look really pretty. I've also got some hellebores in there. My puppy actually would like to come outside, but I cannot watch him and chat with you guys at the same time. We're actually doing some repairs along the base there. We've got some rot, we're replacing it with AZAC material. But let's get back to the garden. So along this garden, I have all kinds of pansies. I love pansies, and I prefer to really plant them in the in the fall, because like I mentioned earlier, they do overwinter here in my growing zone and they bounce back in the spring. But I had a border of petunias in here. I didn't want to pull them. They still looked good, so I kept them. So what you see blooming are the new pansies that I planted. The ones that are not blooming are the ones that still need a little bit more time. But look at the layers in this garden. Isn't it beautiful? I've got all those daffodils blooming down there. And last year I planted a bunch of tulips and daffodils in this garden to restock it. I did plant it there a few years ago. Some critters dug up a bunch of the tulips that I had, so replanting it just to get my early spring garden vibes again. We'll see how they do and see what comes back the following season. But actually new is this section here. It was all filled with that English ivy, and it was just, I hated the way that it looked, like hated the way that it looked from the driveway in the summer when I had like all my zinnias and stuff blooming here. So we pulled it out, and now I've got a gorgeous hibiscus in here, and then I underplanted it with a bunch of bulbs. I will move some perennials over here. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do yet, but something will go there. I'm gonna have to see what it looks like at the end of this season and then kind of like figure out what I want to do with it. But I have a whole hardy hibiscus border in there, so I feel like it's gonna pull that look up to here. So I'm really excited about that. It's gonna look really nice. But anyway, my perennials are coming back. Everything's looking good. That gorgeous daffodil border down there is like unbelievable. And that was such a lovely surprise when we moved here, because we moved in December in this house of 21. So I had no idea all this was here. I actually planted all of this. None of this was here. This was bare when we moved in, but that was full with daffodils and the hibiscus, some nepeta, some coreopsis, and then I kind of tucked in some other items. But wow, it is just a stunner in the spring. And those are 2 flowering crab apples. They usually flower like later in April, so it's going to be a few weeks before we see them bloom. But yeah, so this border's really coming along. I love it. So I spent some time planting the border along here this year, just, you know, like I said, trying to fill in. And then I also planted a border along here, just really more along the holes. I've got some summer blooming alliums coming back, so I don't have as straight a border as I do on the other side, but you know, you kind of get the idea. I also potted up some pansies in my front planters here, and I did a little rim of sweet alyssum. I love the fragrance and the aroma. When the pansies are done, I think I'm gonna put some roses in here and pot up some other summer blooming annuals. I'm not quite sure what yet, but I also did the same thing with the pansies up there by the front door, and I added some obelisks that I really love. As you can see, I got a delivery and I didn't remove it yet, but it's a hose. Nothing to be too terribly excited about. All right, so moving from the welcome garden, another change. Now, I do not love this sculpture. We have a lot of wood sculptures here. Were made from trees. I didn't do them, the former homeowner did them. This is one that I did not love. It had a bunch of pachysandra here. We just pulled it, and I actually am moving some perennials out along the driveway because this summer we need to fix the driveway and I want to preserve the perennials. So I dug them out, divided some, moved them around, put some in here for the time being. I don't really know what I'm going to do in this garden yet, and I'm not really sure if we're going to keep this statue or not. I actually would love to see a beautiful urn there planted with a bunch of annuals, but I don't know. I'm really conflicted about it. What do you guys think? Why don't you guys tell me in the comments below what you think? I mean, it's so cool on the one hand because like someone carved this from a tree, but it is just not my vibe and I don't really love it. So I don't know. Anyway, why don't we walk along the driveway before we head down to the potager? Because I really feel like you're gonna appreciate the beauty of this border right now. Look at all the daffodils, and yes, there is a fragrance. I don't know if you know that daffodils have an aroma, but they do, and when they're planted in mass like this, you can really smell them. It's heavenly. It's amazing. I love it. And before we walk over to the potager, just look at that view. So beautiful. So I've made a few changes in the potager, and I was actually thinking about moving the dining room table out here to another area. I love it down here, but it's a little far from the kitchen, so it's a lot to bring like dinnerware and the food and stuff down here, but you know, it really is a vibe. So we are keeping it for at least another season. But one of the things that I didn't love about having the table here was the centerpiece, because putting a planter on there would always dry out, especially in the summer. And I love my cutting garden. I have my cutting garden to the right here, and I would cut flowers to, you know, make a centerpiece, and they wouldn't last because it would be really hot or whatever. So they, you know, they wouldn't last very long. So this year I've decided to go with a self-watering window box planter basically, and it's perfect. It's got a nice, self-watering reservoir, and I filled it with these beautiful frizzle pansies and stock, and I really, really, really love the look. It's so pretty. So, so pretty. Another thing that I did this year is I winter sowed for the first time vegetables. And so I actually planted them all up in this bed and the bed to my right, which I'll show you in a minute. I densely planted them. I densely planted like my vegetables this year, and I did a little bit more of a design. Usually I just kind of like throw them in and make sections of like arugula and spinach and things like that. But this year I'm gonna do some experimenting, and I'm doing something a little bit different. But what I really want to show you is this beautiful annual plant combination, because it's a little boring here right now without it. And I was at the nursery the other day, I was buying some pansies, and these flowers just spoke to me. So I bought ranunculus in this peach color, and I need to deadhead them in this, like, I would say like a darkish red black color. Stock, I love, love, love stock. Isn't that so pretty? And then I did some pansies. I've got some nemesia, and it's just really, really beautiful. I love how this bed is coming out. Also new to the garden this year is spring blooming bulbs in my raised beds. So I usually do all dahlias in that back bed, and in the fall I decided to plant it up with a bunch of tulips, and they're all coming up. It's looking really amazing. I cannot wait to see these bloom. It's gonna look so good. I also did a full bed of hyacinths, and then in this bed over here I did a mix of daffodils and tulips. It's gonna be epic. I cannot wait to see what this looks like, and I think it's gonna look so pretty with the centerpiece on the table and with all the vegetables and flowers that are coming in. Really, really lovely. So this is a little bit of my messier side of the garden, but I do have some vegetables planted in here. Some vegetables that I started from seed that I'm growing. I'm doing artichokes for the first time, which is very exciting. Broccoli, cauliflower, kale, beans. What else am I doing? Different types of lettuce like arugula, spinach, things like that. I really love it. It looks so, so good, doesn't it? This is such a great start to the season, because usually this time of year, this doesn't really look like much. And, it was really fun to kind of spend time planting it up. We've had some warmer temps, great reason to get outside, and I'm loving how it looks. On this side of the bed, I've got some garlic coming up, and then I did a row of tulips that go all the way around the entire potager garden. I loved them last year. They're pink impressions, and I just did like a very thin little border going around the beds. I've got some roses in here. They're from Proven Winners. At Last roses along the back fence. My lavender is starting to come back. I did plant some pansies along here just to get a little bit of color. I've got a climber rose on here, some Lonicera going up the arbor that looks really pretty. And overall, like, I love how this is coming along. It looks so pretty, right? I also have these really pretty self-watering planters that I got last year from Proven Winners. They are really awesome. They are self-watering, like I just mentioned, so they, keep your plants hydrated for extended periods of time, and then you just kind of like fill the reservoir. I also added these beautiful vintage obelisks that I found while thrifting around, and I filled the planters just with pansies for now. I will wind up swapping them out for summer blooming annuals, but for now, just add some much needed color to this garden. Still doing a lot of work in this garden. I've got some sweet peas that need to be planted that are in there, and I've got my mess along there, so we're just gonna ignore that. But you know what? This garden is really coming along. I'm really happy with it, and I think I'm glad that I kept the table this year. I really was toying with the idea of adding another bed along here, and it's a vibe, right? I mean, like, what do you think? Tell me in the comments below. Would you swap this table out for another bed, or would you keep the table? I mean, it really is a vibe. It's just a little far from the kitchen for me, but you know what? I'll sacrifice it for the aesthetic. Anyway, that's it, you guys. Thanks so much for joining me in the garden today. I'll see you in the next video. Enjoy a beautiful day.